Hey everyone, thanks for coming out tonight for the council meeting on the Thursday night. We'll start with the
Council President Suzanne Souter.
Present.
Councilperson Joseph Day.
Here.
Councilperson Norman Zabaka. Councilperson Andrew Zelt.
Here.
Councilperson Brian Mataway.
Here.
Also present, Mayor Valerie Leary, City Administrator Antonina Tantillo, City Treasurer James Wisman, Chief of Police Richard McCabe, and City Solicitor Max Walton.
We have 3 sets of minutes tonight from the March 12th regular meeting, from the April 9th public hearing, and from the April 9th regular meeting. Take them one at a time. Are there any, I'm sorry, the March 12th is a public hearing as well. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the March 12th meeting?
No.
Minutes as submitted. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. And the next ones are the public hearing from April the 9th. Are there any comments or mentions, staff? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, those are approved. And then finally, the minutes of the April 9th regular meeting.
Page 5, I have an update about in Councilperson Zabaka's communication that I made for census data. I have a correction to make for 2010, should be saying instead of 1250, should be saying 1091.
Okay,
And
thank
then
you.
2022 census total population should be reading 5551. That'll be all.
Okay. Any other corrections to the minutes of the April 9th regular meeting? Okay, do I have a motion to approve these minutes as corrected?
Motion to approve is correct.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, the minutes are approved. Mr. Richmond?
Yes, ma'am.
Report.
I'll be delighted to. I have a very quick report. We have about $11.5 million in the bank in investments. And so that's very important because it makes us very healthy, which I've said before. During these past few weeks or month or so, I've met with the city council and others, and we've talked about the budget for 2025. Remember, we're still in the 24.
Right.
So we're talking about the budget for 25, and it's just amazing amount of energy that goes into preparing this budget. If you look at every budget line item, there's probably about 450 line items. There's 3 or 4 major groupings, but the people who are sitting here in front of you are doing a great job of analyzing the city's functions and putting price tag on moving forward. And we'll have a balanced budget soon, I'm sure. The other thing I wanted to comment on is the audit. We have had an auditor for 2024, which was last year, and they were supposed to meet with us sometimes recently to go over the results of the audit. I haven't heard any indications there's anything negative. It's just that they couldn't keep the meeting at dates that we had. So when we get the final audit report, that'll be another thing. In dealing with the current budget, 2024, April is the 10th month, and we're about 83% through the year. But we collected nearly 100% of our revenues for the year. We collected most of the revenues up front. So we're in good shape on the cash side, money coming in. On the money going out, on the debt, the expense side, we still have about 12.5% of our money to spend before the end of the year to fit into our budget. So that's normal. We can get the money in first, then we start spending it almost evenly through the year. So the year is, with this report, is 83% through April. And we have paid 87% of our expenses. So we've paid some of the expenses. We haven't incurred expenses that wasn't budgeted. So financially, we're in good health. I'm not going to go into much more detail than that. So, but if anyone has questions, feel free to give me a call and let me know, and I'll answer the question.
Any questions from council? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report subject to audit? Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so it's approved. Okay, the report from the city administrator.
So this month has, again, been busy meeting with a lot of stakeholders in the community. It's been wonderful to meet everyone. We did just have a meeting with Delmarva Power, who again showed that they are on their final phase of the gas meter. Updates, the Fort Street, continues to be closed while they complete this. And a letter should be coming out in the coming months, regarding the, springs to cover the water or the planter. They'll be able to make a decision around it. Street sweeping has resumed this month, and signs have been posted throughout the city, indicating there has been hired. We've completed the interview process, and we'll be starting probably in the beginning of July. We've also met with the DelDOT Secretary and Representative Ford to talk about traffic impact districts. Traffic improvement districts and traffic impact studies for the city, and are looking into those options. Can you not hear me? I'll speak up.
Did you say code enforcement officer starting in July?
Yes. The battery park question continues to be talked about with the trust. We are trying to work together to get this reopened and get the repairs made and have that matter rectified. In the meantime, we have placed porta potties at the park where the restrooms are to meet the needs of those who are visiting the park. And they'll be cleaned twice a week. If there are any issues that anyone sees with these porta potties, please contact us. The county has sent out some letters to residents and homeowners regarding the reassessment. This letter should come from Tyler Technologies. If you are confused about anything with it or have any questions, definitely reach out to the county directly. There's information on our website about how to contact the county. Separation date is rapidly approaching at the beginning of June 7th and 8th, and we're going to have a lot of vendors registered, but we'd love to have some more. We have about 20 vintage market vendors, 20 non-vintage vendors, 10 food vendors, about 30 parade entries, and fireworks and rides for the children. So it's going to be a great event. We are also looking for volunteers, and go to the Separation Day website. It's also linked to our website. You can sign up to volunteer. We continue to work on the city budget, as Mr. Smith has indicated, and we're working through that process. And during this past month, we've applied for numerous grants, including municipal street aid for the street improvement, the ORPC pre-application for the Battery Park phase 2, and the bond bill, which has multiple application grant requests that includes Battery Park, the police department, and numerous streets throughout the city. That concludes my report.
Okay, I have one question. In terms of the Delmarva and the letter concerning the screens, I think there's been some confusion because the project started over a year ago, and that there was a gap for reasons that aren't anybody's fault, but the screens are going to be offered to everyone at once, right? Not
Correct.
just the final phase.
Correct. They'll be offered to everyone whose meters were impacted. The letter will go out with the details of the screens and the planters, and they'll work with each individual homeowner to get that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from council?
Will it be required for a homeowner to accept that screen from DelDOT?
You don't have to accept it, but they're only going to offer this screen or planter, and then that's the only offering that you'll get.
I just have one more question.
Yeah.
On top of RBT and bond, you mentioned another one? Reasonable street aid. Have we applied for this in the past?
Yeah. Every year, most municipalities do, and the data consideration, they're self for many, many
That's
years.
great.
I want to thank you for your report, and for acting quickly to get that information up about the reassessment from Tyler Technologies. I had several residents reach out to me about confusion and misinformation actually on the sheets that they have, and I actually opened up mine today, misinformation on mine too. If we could possibly get a blurb or something into the next month prior, some of our residents may not know to go to the city website, but many of them get the crier.
It's in it.
Oh, great, thank you.
All right, thank you. Chief McCabe.
So I think if you look with the quality of life, there's minor changes about obviously you know the quality. It's of Joe we investigated and made an arrest in a work-related aggravated medicine where police got into a car to get weapons, full firearm pointed at the victim. Our quick response and to help with some camera footage is from different areas gave us enough information where we could make an arrest within 24 hours. We're also currently investigating a shooting that happened in William Court. It was a drive-by shooting at night. The vehicle fired from the passenger side window at several residents, and vehicles were hit. So we're investigating that. We hope to have updating that soon. Last Friday, we had our presidential visit. Three assessors came, did a pretty thorough walkthrough, right along with one of our officers, talked to a few officers, asked some questions, final review, and after a pretty long day left, on a positive note, and I think we're in the process of waiting for a report to be filed to us, and then eventually there'll be a meeting with the commission the report will be filed, and we'll make a vote to absolutely improve our reaccreditation. And then the last note on separation day, since the next council meeting will be after that day, I feel like we can probably share this now. We're going to do as much outreach as we can, a little bit more than we have, but we're going to knock on some business doors, kind of let them know what that day is going to look like. The Friday night, we're going to let folks park in front of all the way up to between Second and Strand on that side. Saturday, it's all going to be closed, but we are going to allow anybody that works down there access. Our goal is to try to get it in before we shut the roads down, but we've already kind of preliminarily. That's all I have.
I just wanted to clarify the shooting that we had where I gathered there were no injuries. Any other questions from council? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, council communications. Mr.
So we are moving forward with the AV equipment here. We did get the PO for Virtualign for the equipment itself. We got PO for the electrical work. We scheduled the electrical work, when it doesn't really interfere with the senior center activities. We are moving forward on the band shell. I sent out an email. I'm still waiting for some comments from a couple of individuals and some recommendations. So hopefully by that meeting, we should have that finalized. Our last litter crew event was on April 28th. We had 15 volunteers. We had 8 bags of trash. We picked up on Moore's Lane from Wilmington Road all the way to Bowling Boulevard. I really appreciate everybody coming out and helping. Big deal. We got it done in about an hour and a half. So I do appreciate everybody supporting that initiative. I also like to thank Antonina for setting up the meeting with Delmarva Power about the gas drivers. That there was a lot of confusion and some questions out there. I think we got most of that resolved. I did attend the Newcastle Historic Society's presentation this past weekend on the Newcastle Fire, the Great Newcastle Fire. It was very well done. It was well attended. It's really a nice event. So I'd like to thank them and thank everybody that participated in May Market. We did get out there on a rainy Sunday, but it was a nice event as well. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bell.
I attended a May Market, volunteer taking, photos of the event, great event. It's amazing on how many people come out. And, thanks for all the people who put that on. The dog park, we did get back from legal, for a request proposal for the design. I sent that up to, Antonia to, get out on our website and get out to people to start, putting in, our request proposal for the design, so we can start seeing if people can give us a quote on, designing the actual park itself. From there, we'll go into, clearing the area and construction, to get more information on the design.
Is that way?
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to thank my colleagues on council for their time, energy, and ideas. Love for the city. You've had a lot of meetings lately, and preparing for the next year, et cetera. And I really appreciate everyone's energy and ideas. And when we have a lot of meetings, sometimes it puts stress on families, or spouses, et cetera. And I certainly would like to acknowledge our families. I've been very courteous. Last month, I had the pleasure of attending a city council meeting in our sister city, known as Delaware City. It's a couple miles down the road. It was very insightful. I was able to discern quickly that we have a lot in common with them. A lot of the same concerns, a lot of the same issues, a lot of the same aspirations. And I will be working to collaborate with them together where we can find commonality to lift community. I'd like to highlight just a few upcoming community events. The library on the loose will be out in Dobbinsville and Buttonwood this Saturday. This is an initiative that will be going on once a month through the summer months to help create some literacy and get children involved in positive activities when the school breaks. This Saturday, the Catholic Historic Society will be unveiling its most recent presentation called Fort Casimir and the Struggle for the Delaware. This will be open Saturdays and Sundays from noon to 4 p.m. Again, starting this Saturday through the rest of the year. June 1st, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., we'll have a blood drive. The following day, June 2nd, the children's free tennis clinic got rained out, but is coming back again June 2nd at the Appleby Tennis Courts here from 10 to noon. And then finally, another new collaboration that we'll be bringing to the city of Newcastle is a free lunch program for students in the summertime. That will take place at the library. It will commence in June and run through August. Thank you, Council President.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Newcastle's hosted this lunch program and the summer camp for kids for some years, so it's good. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it. Mr. Zabaka.
Can I ask a question to Shanae first, just about, AV equipment? You don't have to work. Just electric work being done first.
Hasn't been purchased, we just have to pay purchase order for it.
Okay,
We signed a contract and they create a purchase order, but the money hasn't been expended yet.
thanks. So I was just asking whether we're gonna have it for next meeting or not, just, probably not.
Probably not, because they're trying to, they want the electric company to come in and do the electrical upgrade on Juneteenth. So it's June 19th, you know what I mean, when it's closed. I'm trying to schedule that now, so it probably wouldn't be the next,
Makes sense.
maybe the July meeting.
Thank you. And Mr. Mataway, for the presentation for Historical Society, is that gonna be in a little library?
Yes, an old library. It's a beautiful building. And lots of history.
My updates, I just want to thank council and city administrator for putting porta potties in the playground. Thank you, all, and thank you, Antonina, for, I'm just speaking up. We don't have a microphone, unfortunately. So I'm not trying to yell at you. But Antonina had a great idea to put an ADA compliant, porta potty there as well, in addition to regular ones, so, thank you for forward thinking. I want to promote an event that's happening in July. Also, all these great events, not to repeat myself, there's gonna be Community Day at the Newcastle Elementary, school in the parking lot. I think, fire department and police are gonna be at the event, and, there's gonna be a lot of vendors, bouncy houses, kind of like a family day organized by, Coach B Kids, group, Bernard Corey. Invite you all to just come, that he's trying to make a little, family fun days that the community is gonna attend, so I won't be here, but, you know, it's gonna be July 27th at 10 for several hours. And then this Saturday, just encourage you to, you know, visit Newcastle. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So.
Thank you. Hey, this is from the mayor.
It's not moving down and to getting to a nice warm spring and into summer, a lot better happen. I will mention some things, with the meeting with the Del Dot secretary or on DLLG dinner or other things the council has already mentioned. In your packet, council, you will find the every committee report for this month. If you have any questions, please let myself, Don, or email. May Market was a great event. I've got a big thing of flowers sitting at home that I will get to this out. The community outreach program will still be going on. We're hoping to get one more neighborhood in by end of June before it gets too hot outside. The blood drive, don't forget, is there a link on the city website?
I think we did post it, but we'll post it again.
Okay, please give blood, give platelets, give something, sign up for a time. The last time I looked, only one was on there. I need to sign up as well, so I am just as guilty. On a Saturday, I attended the grand opening of the Sheriff's House. It was an honor to meet the Secretary of Interior, Deb Haaland. And because I happen to have an open seat, Russ Smith joined us at the ceremony and was duly recognized. I was also invited to an evening event, May 9th for the Delaware Valley Classical School. Beginning in 7th grade, the students attend a protocol event each year geared toward their age. The formal occasion is designed to celebrate etiquette taught to students throughout their 7th to 12th grade years. And it was a really nice evening with a cocktail hour and then a dinner. And they went to Philadelphia to be with them. The next day, I had a tour of the Delaware Skills Center. Former Mayor Mike Kawada had also toured the Delaware Skills Center, and I encourage council to do so as well. I'm happy to give you contact information. They're located on Ship's Landing Way, and they teach trade skills, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, welding, and they also do LPNs, ENA, and some IT skills. They have a 96% placement rate for their graduates of their program, and it's at no cost to those attending. It is funded by the state. So I would check out going to see it. I'm happy to give you the information. I had hoped to meet the representative of the Army Corps of Engineers regarding a couple of the icebreakers that are deteriorating. Unfortunately, they have to reschedule the appointment, so we'll take care of that next. A day in Oregon Council, all I can say is volunteer. It's a great event. It may be rainy. It goes on rain or shine, so prepare. The truck selection is on June 1st. And as schools let out and summer travels begin, please be aware of families and children and young people in the streets and safe travel.
On April 20th, I attended Goodwill Fire Company's water drill. It was clear that a lot of work and planning went into that event, multiple fire companies involved, and I want to thank everyone who participated. I found it really interesting. Captain Moore showed me around a bit. I learned a lot. For example, their pumper truck can pull over 1,000 gallons an hour from the river, and push it many blocks through hoses with auxiliary trucks stationed about every 600 feet to keep it moving. So they pump water from the wharf down to the end of the strand at Bull Hill, just as a practice, and then put it back in the river, but made sure the equipment worked, and they could get it set up. Wilmington Fire Company's fire boat came in, and it can pump, pardon me, 12,000 gallons an hour. And it was really cool to see, because they had to vent some of it off to the side, because clearly they didn't have the capacity. But if they needed that much, they have the ability to hook up additional hoses. So Goodwill Fire Company said they appreciated the cooperation from residents, even though they know this caused some inconvenience because of parking limitations, but it really helped them to be prepared if there were to be a failure in our water system and a fire at the same time. I'll also mention this coming Saturday is the 99th day in Old Newcastle, so it'll be a busy day. There's a lot of work and preparation that goes into this, and I want to thank everyone who participated. Lots of you may have already signed up as volunteers. I hope you'll check out the activities, which this year include a special commemoration of the 200th anniversary of the Great Fire of 1824, and with that, an emphasis on the history of firefighting here in Newcastle. So Goodwill's participating, and they're going to get to show off their prized antique fire truck. And finally, if you haven't heard the Historical Society Director, Mike Conley's excellent lecture on that fire, I urge you all to check it out on YouTube. It is available. Pardon me. Someone's already mentioned the library's plans for the library on the list of Mataway this Saturday in Buttonwood and Robbinsville. And finally, I want to say that I've been in contact with the chair of our flood resiliency committee. And she contacted, because we hadn't heard anything for a while, she contacted the state administrator of the Federal Natural Resources Conservation Service program that we've been told we were accepted into, to find out what was going on. We were told that, we were accepted into this program, which would fund both the engineering and construction of the recommended flood protection. Unfortunately, the beginning of the study is going to be delayed until at least this summer and possibly into the fall, because Congress reduced the amount of funding they allocated to this program. So while the administrator thinks Newcastle should still be part of this program, our flood resiliency committee will begin exploring other options for funding as a backup. And Chairman Alice Reel has also prepared a letter to Senator Carper's office because he's on the environmental committee. So maybe that can help nudge things along. The administrator is pretty sure we'll still be part of the program, but it just may be slowed down a bit. I'd also like to remind everyone of the runoff trustee election on June 1st. You can either vote that day at the fire station, or if you can't be there that day, you can go out to the trust office Monday through Friday, 10 to 3, and vote early. They call it that these days instead of absentee. And finally, if you have brought a water bottle or anything else with you, I ask you to take it with you when you leave. This is a carry-in, carry-out program, so there's no one else to pick up after us. Thank you. So comments from the Goodwill representative, Captain Moore, do you have anything for us? Thank you.
This report, that you guys have from, well, month of April, just want to mention that in 1833, 1863, you may see that there are a lot of loopholes for that area. That's how they're with, so, since the weather nicer, comfort in there. So, I don't want you to think that Nothing. Do get to call in the winter time there, but, your season is there probably here right now. I want to thank everybody who, came out this past, weekend, supported us with Mother's Day flowers. Definitely appreciate that. I'm sure all mothers and grandmothers appreciate it. And lastly, I want to touch on, the water bill. We want to thank everybody, for the cooperation on that. A lot of time, a lot of planning, a lot of work went into that. We understand the cost and inconvenience, not done on purpose by far, but hopefully with the ATVs, hopefully with the early notifications and all, hopefully we made things less inconvenient. So I will say we had a big cooperation, probably 100% with vehicles, not being in the way, everybody to their vehicles, so that's definitely, definitely appreciate that. Lastly, on that, we were able to meet our goal of 1,000 gallons, in order to be able to flow for an hour's time. That was the goal that we had, and that's the goal that we ended up, meeting. So it was a good day all the way around, so.
Thank you, James. Okay, public comment? I'd like to remind everyone, who's crowd doing, please sign in and then state your name. Everyone's limited to 3 minutes. I have a timer here so you can tell where you are. And, in interest of keeping meetings efficient, we'd like you to try to limit your comments to things related to the
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Peg Bradley. I live at 26 3rd Street, right in Stockton. So I have a magnificent view of Battery Park. I'm here in Newcastle, in the center of the community, and I sit out my family, with community members, as well as many visitors who come up or down 3rd Street to access Battery Park. Thank you for the important roles that you play in maintaining and improving that wonderful natural resource. I can tell you firsthand that from the moment I look out the window in the morning until I go to bed at night, that park is filled with children, families, and dogs, senior citizens, and others enjoying that park. And the playground is a central feature. The old playground was wonderful and it was well used. And there were things about the old playground that are missed. I'm sure you hear that. As a daily observer, though, I can tell you that the new playground is used even more than the old one was. And the energy of a broad range of ages is absolutely delightful. Families engage together there with joy and enthusiasm that is rarely seen today. Thank you for making it possible. It is healthy for our community and it's healthy for our society. I'm a lifelong educator and I know well that playground use is associated with numerous health benefits, physical fitness, mental health, social skills, creativity, brain development, and problem solving. We know that's true for children, and I personally think it's true for the adults too. Senator Ford and Representative Minor Brown have been helpful in obtaining generous support from state funding for the playground. And committed community members have devoted a tremendous number of hours writing grants to receive a number of foundation funds. As council members, you hold the responsibility of creating a budget that meets all the critical needs in the city, and I know that's very complex. I'm here to respectfully ask that when you are deliberating, you will take into account the many benefits that our playground provides to our people of all ages from our community and who visit here. And please especially consider those children and adults who use wheelchairs or walkers and therefore require a more solid ADA shirt in order to participate. We all look forward to phase 2 and getting some slides back on the playground. I will thank you again for your service to this community and thank you in advance for your support for the playground.
Thank you. There will be mics hopefully by Jill.
You've been here already.
Good evening, my name is Carol Caston and I live on Fourth Street. And I'd like to speak on behalf of supportive Phase 2 of Henry Park Playground. Children of the area and elsewhere are looking Phase 1 of the project. Building on that joy, Phase 2 will create even greater family fun. With all the history, shops, restaurants, and beauty our town has to offer, families come to live or visit businesses and looking for activities that are kid-friendly at the same time. Building on what was started, the playground offers just that. Taking my own grandkids there, they often end up playing with other children of various ages. I'm impressed with the levels of social interaction, sharing, and helping that take place as the kids explore the various apparatuses. Completion of the second phase will only increase the likelihood that more families will come to enjoy all the amenities. I'm glad to hear that you're working on fitting the bathrooms because getting a 3 and 4-year-old into a porta potty is a little different. I'm glad that's on the books. And so I'd like to ask if you could possibly consider recycle cans and trash cans somewhere between the basketball courts and the playground, because one of our challenges we go play there is to pick up bottles and things and take them home and recycle them. So I just, in closing, want to thank you for all of your efforts. I know there's playground committee people on the board and all the work the committee's put in, and on behalf of my grandkids and the kids in town, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. President, 604 Park Street, Dalrymple. You know, I'm sorry that I agree with your, but this is ridiculous that we don't have a mic. These guys been in office for years now, okay? I come here tonight to try to get through to you guys on that parking lot that the Schwillos are taking samples in right now. You look at me like you don't know what we're talking about, Miss Sauer. Council's supposed to know everything going on in this town.
Which parking lot are you?
There's a top parking lot just before Dartmouth, which is
Yeah.
super fun site. It is a super fun site. Never trying to try to tell me he didn't know it's a super fun site, and that is bullshit. I talked to a number of council people without mentioning names about this parking lot for quite a while now. A lot of these projects that they moved through with, like Redeemer Steel and all, none of them were super fun sites. This is a very toxic area. It sits just before Dobbinville, across the street from the old steel mill. The way that the previous council and all set this up, no one is called in, the proper authority is used. It's all been left to Jeff Parsons to approve on his own, and that is wrong. We have one contaminated well in Newcastle City now. Norman, you and Mr. Mattaway have very young children, and so do I. I am demanding that council have the EPA investigate that area. And the reason I'm asking is because the EPA controls all Superfund sites because they're regulated and used differently to protect the people. Allowing the Schwillos to do their own study on that is not in the best interest of the people in Newcastle City. There's multiple things in town that must be looked into, and if I get my way here shortly, but looked into in the best interest of your people that don't know what I'm talking about. Some council members know that of them. I'm asking you to please involve the EPA in that job. And I want you to investigate the violations behind 508 South Street that just from the building inspector told me that he can get. What you're about to take place here is gonna cause problems with my grandkids. This stuff be more evaluated for the best interest of every person in this town. The people that sat at that table before you didn't care about anybody in this town, all they worried about this, and every one of them should be investigated for what they did in this town. That's going to be important.
Mr. Bryce, that's
Well, if you bring the general's office here, I will. Thank you. You're already talking. You want to conspiracy charge you. I'm done playing. Mr. Watts, thank you so much for coming on board. Might not be, buddy. Hey, you're wrong.
My name is Rose Cardona. My son and Rose, we live 38 West 4th Street. And we're coming here because of the playground at Battery Park. And first of all, we'd love to thank you. Keep hiding a little shy. We have tons of ideas to share. And yeah, we really want to thank you for the beautiful playground, and our favorite is definitely the zip line. We used to love the old playground, but it was great when he was small. Then, of course, the pandemic hit and closed. And I was really happy that it happened, because otherwise he would not have been going to the playground at the age he was at. He had grown it. Yes, I'm going so now. So it's changed for the better our lives. Again, we chose Newcastle for several reasons, and I think for us the biggest reason is definitely Battery Park and the playground. This is, you know, of course, beautiful old Newcastle and that, and so that's wonderful. Now, one of the comments, you know how the truth comes out of children's mouth. One of the comments that was made after being thrilled and playing all the time is, "Oh, but it's not finished." And I wasn't sure what to say, because they had just done the beautiful inauguration and the displeaser, but that was his comment. And so I think that it's an amazing beginning, and I see that we could have more, I don't know, like toys and activities, not just for children like us, who's very agile, but maybe for a different population, maybe for children who have autistic, for example, issues or disorders, handicaps, where, you know, people from, you know, diverse backgrounds can meet. And I know that talking about, you know, the illnesses, right, of our times, which are loneliness and depression and obesity, that we hear about in America, I think this is really important, so that we can all meet together, meet new friends that he doesn't have necessarily at school, and I don't have time to organize that play date. We go to the playground down, he makes a friend, and, you know, different age, and then he's less lonely, then hopefully it ingrains that, you know, he can get off the screen and go and play. So I think this builds up, you know, an important tool for our young kids and together and get to know each other. Yeah. I didn't know that's a joke.
I think people would invest in a microphone system.
We are,
Hopefully hear it at all.
the microphone should be in another month or two.
Anyway, all right, so I'm going to see you all. That guy before her was exactly right. I used to own that property where the garrison is. I was told by Corps of Engineers I could never build anything on that property. Here he said, $5 million apartment house. I went to Senator Corr. I said, how did they build on that? Because Jeff Bergstrom has the absolute authority through the city to issue fill permits without oversight from Denver, Corps of Engineers, Newcastle. Nobody should have that power. Nobody should have that power. You have to get a charter change and take that away from them. Nobody should have that power. The people who are supposed to be watching over us, not be able to watch over us. Should be gone. It's the same way with the swamp. He's filled in Dobbinville, the Battery Park, Midori. 200,000 yards of dirt. All our watershed's gone. This gentleman here keeps right into the paper. How come we're flooding? How come we're flooding? You put 200,000 yards of dirt and then water estuaries, that's why we're flooded. We're flooded because there's nowhere for the water to go anymore. And they're still dumping there, 5 foot above the graveyard. There's people in there because the graves are coming up, but nobody will go back there and look at it. It's terrible. Anyway, let me do this. You got this paper about the little church the guys want to build. I'm gonna read it for the people. Proposes a building sketch of a proposed small 5,000 square foot church on a lot at 428 7th Street across from the existing liquor store. The plot will require no variances, no exceptions. It's over 2 acres large and it's smaller than most homes on the strand. Yet your city and building department have never put it. Nothing new for Bergstrom. He's negated me building 7 beautiful townhomes on it for 20 years. Yet he and the city persist in rubber stamping outrageous exceptions and variances to multiple apartment complexes, including the one directly across the street from the small one. Allowing 150 units on a plat that was only designed for 36 units. Giving variances for adjacent parking, saying most people drive many cars now, they don't need big parking lots. You can't make this stuff up, people. This is reality. They have a judge thinks that 150 units for only 36 were supposed to be there is minimal. She thinks it's minimal. I put icing on a cake. She said, I didn't even have standing to bring a suit to stop it. I lived here 82 years.
Mr. Raimondi, your time's up.
Done?
Your time's up. Thank you.
You have the paper.
Yes, sir. Maybe you.
Oh, okay.
I do need to say that Mr. Bergstrom does not have to issue wetland fill permits without then authorization.
He does have power. He's got to report to the legislature.
Next,
Yeah. It's really
I'm going to tell us your last name, Susan. Thank you.
So I just wanted to piggyback with the other people that have two daughters, they're 13 and so they're a little bit older than the kids that we see playing that for you that they really are loving phase 1, but as everyone has said, we still do need additional support and help with getting phase 2 completed. So the to get phase 2 completed. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Anyone else?
Yeah.
I had to scribble my John Hancock over here. My name is Andre Jarrett, 55 West Fifth Street. I'm following my wife. I get to say that because I married a couple weeks ago. I'm following my wife there in support of the playground in particular phase 2. But before I do that, I did want to bring a couple quote first, Mr. Demonti, I didn't get his first name, and Victor wanted to say thank you to those two guys for their comments. They noted something that I hadn't been tracking to before, so just something for me to look into as a resident of the city, so thank you to those two. But also to the people who are speaking on the same topic. That Bradley, Carol Catherine, and Ms. Cardona, who are all speaking in favor of the park. I am admittedly biased. I think on something maybe I have been a part of trying to bring a playground to Newcastle for quite some time now. I'm originally, from Philadelphia, and what first brought me to Newcastle was the feeling that I got when I first came here, when I first kind of stumbled into this new opportunity. And it felt kind of like Blue City, but it was and so, my wife, then girlfriend, now wife, we kind of stalked this area for a while. We found a unit, a house that needed a lot of repairs, but it didn't matter. It was in the right neighborhood. We got in here, and when we got in here, we came across a lot of people. We met people. We developed friendships and whatnot. And quickly noted that there was opportunity for us to get involved. So the playground was where we kind of took up our mantle. The playground is, I would say, noticeable foot traffic increase since phase one. That is what the mission was. But I'll say something different from what everybody says as far as the fun that goes into it. I'm an attorney by trade, but before I practiced law, a lot of disadvantaged youth and a lot of kids that got committed to delinquent homes as a result. If those kids had a place where they could be safe, and they could be safe in the company of their residents, they could be safe in the company of friends and other people who care about them, and go do what kids do, I do feel like they would have turned out better, and in fact, would have not wound up in my charge, either as juvenile delinquents or ultimately as adults. So I rise in support of phase two because I see us continuing to put together the type of community that takes care of its citizens. So thank you.
On January 20th, 2021, there was a Board of Adjustment hearing on a property on Holt Avenue where there was some variants that were granted on conditions. Property was just rebuilt beginning in the fall of 2023, completed in spring of 2024, or just at the winter of 2024. One of the conditions to the Board of Adjustment was all water runoff had to go to Holt Avenue or to 11th Street. None of that happened. The water runs into my backyard, neighbor's back, and even with a little bit of rain, it's noticeable. April 24th of this month, last month, I FOIA paper the result for the Board of Adjustment. I received it. I think I'm accurate, because I know I contacted Ms. Johnson to set up a meeting with the city administrator. To no avail. Second email to the city administrator. Did not return my email. Third email. I'm out of here. Third email. Still nothing. That's negative. And then finally, I called the office and she took the time to phone me. I do appreciate that. And still, that was May 8th. Still nothing. No response, nothing. She's got time to be out weeding Route 9, a state highway with the mayor and 2 city employees, but she doesn't have time to address me. And then I come to find out, Bertram does not inspect projects. That was practically rebuilt from the ground up. Not one inspection report. According to the Board of Adjustment, there was a civil engineer, there should have been a civil engineering report agreed to by the owner of the property. Never done. City never done anything. Now, according to ordinance I told you before, Mr. Day, I totally disagree with that ordinance, but now that protects me. And I want some action, I want some relief. That wouldn't put me running in my yard or my neighbor's yard whatsoever. It's just not right. And then, I'm sorry, for you starting off being in a civil servant job, I'm extremely disappointed in you. Not returning email, all you have to do is put receive. At least I would know you got it. I didn't know if it ended up in your spam folder or not. And to me, starting off, that's very, okay, shake your hand.
On the phone, they were reflecting that I was impacted. You on the phone. That's it.
15 seconds, back, keep on. You had 15 seconds of copy? Okay. Got it. Okay, I'm not, it's not right. That's what you're. That's all. And the other thing is, just do, you got all these accounts to the bank, know exact numbers, and be approved at treasury reporter.
I think you know we get the written reports and they do have the exact mail done.
Well-
$16.05.
Why?
To anyone who wants to see it. Anyone else? No further public comments? Oh.
Hey, David, Melanie, I heard 745 Cross Street, but I can't hear very much. Number 50, my life, I had a 13 by 20 by 3 foot high plane county fish fleet. Why do I call it that? What's made of first? Wood chips and glue or any strand wood, blocks, asphalt, plastic, sitting on wood timbers. So, makes it even worse. The second reason, there's no firewalls containing this thing, called fire. So the placement of this thing, second from the end, what scares me to death is where it's at, in the wind direction, 6 out of 7 days a week, it's going toward the river, right down the bluff. They was ever to light off, quite possible, not respect it. One of the figures just sitting here, as I can jump up and respect it. You don't know what's going to happen. Definitely possible, highly possible, that the entire city block would be involved in flames, and on wind blast, speed. In the wind direction, it will blow right down the block. Someone makes me have a balloon ceiling. The world is attacking waiting to happen. So I don't stay at my house anymore. It's not worth risking my life. And the crazy thing is another one is built on the end of the block. The cemetery right behind me. Same thing. Plain road. The same stuff, no firewalls. Place right where to go, right to the block, or the entire city block. So, the family child's like this for us. It's permanent brand, but it was certified to be one thing. One of this, a lot of it. It's the opposite. It's one of the places. Also, it's 7.7 Climate Street. First and second floors have no firewall. Basically, 729, 727 are now the same building, which makes it yes, electric fees. 6 people on one rental property, and you have no one in the other. Situation is horrendous. What do you do about it? You know? The planes are around all 2 city blocks. No firewalls. They will burn down the entire city block, both of them. That's the main reason. Why did this happen? Why? The attention are people in my neighborhood.
Everybody, I don't like wearing a suit, I don't like coming here, I don't wanna be here. I assure you, I don't want to be here. But I don't have a choice.
Probably your time's up. Does anyone else have any any comment? All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the discussion of ordinance 544, which is an ordinance to amend Article 5 supplemental district regulations 230-28, parking and loading requirement section A15 in the downtown gateway district, subsection A, parking requirements for specific use are as follows: 5 apartments. So, this ordinance has been going for a while. Last month we were supposed to discuss it, but we didn't have the amended version in the packet, nor had the amended posted, so we got all that squared away. Mr. Patel, this is your ordinance. Do you have anything to say to introduce our discussion?
That's in summary, usually, the area of 1.5 parking spaces, I'm just going back to the default that's listed for 2 parking spaces. And, I guess with the help of planning, they came to add some information here on multi-family dwellings and other components, defining that, those items. And lastly, since this was initially brought up back in February 13th, using that as the initial date for any application permits to be enforced as of February 13th, 2024. Otherwise, the previous items would, anything submitted would be exempt on this change.
Now, any project that was initiated by filing the application or request for permit on or before February 13th of this year are exempt from this new ordinance.
That is correct. It's going for.
Comments from council?
I just have a question, Councilperson, so did you just say the planning has already reviewed this, voted on, and added to the definition of the? On that. Thank you. What was the main concern, at the planning commission, that you share with us? What was
They
it?
didn't have a concern, they were just adding the definition of multifamily dwellings. That was added.
Thank you.
In the basic.
Any other comments?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 544.
I guess, actually, I didn't know if anybody else has anything. I think there's 2 main concerns about this. First, it involves dedicating a large paved surface. That concerns me. And second, in many other municipalities, studies have shown that if you make it more difficult and more expensive to build, then there will be less built and housing prices will continue to increase. And that's been a problem in this area. Supply and demand that we all learned in basic economics. If you limit the supply, then and demand is there, then the price goes up. And I'm concerned maybe they grew up here and now they graduated from, completed their education, started a career. They want to live around here, close to family, but they don't want to live with mom and dad. But there's no place they can afford to live. Our young police officers, our young teachers can't afford to buy homes. Many younger folks prefer to rent rather than buy their career for a variety of reasons. So why would we make it more expensive to build housing?
Not that we're making it more difficult. I think the scenario that I'm concerned is of our existing residents. We don't have a lot of space within our town, and where this is located, we don't have enough parking as is for the people that live here.
Okay, what do you mean by this is located? Which place are you talking about? Because there's 3 different projects, well, the started project, they're not affected by that. But what proposed future projects do you think will be?
Again, on top,
if there's proposals coming or not. I'm more concerned is in the area that we have today, of no parking for existing residents. And then when we start adding these high rise apartment complexes, they're not putting enough parking in for the residents, and it's gonna spill over into our community where we don't have enough parking.
So you think that the apartments out on Seventh Street extended, those people are gonna park in the downtown area and walk 4, 5, 6 blocks to their apartment?
Again, that's already going through right now. But we do have situations that we do have land within our community today that potentially some scenarios like that could happen.
I'm not aware of much open land downtown, but
There is.
there's a little, most of it be twins or. Okay, any other comments? All right, so. Go ahead if you want to make a.
Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 544?
Yeah, hold on.
I mean,
Did you request a motion or did you make?
Okay,
I make a motion, do I have a,
you're making the motion to approve this ordinance?
yes.
Is there a second? Okay. Are we ready to call for a vote? Okay, this is an ordinance, so it has to be a roll call vote.
Councilperson Souter,
No, for the reasons I stated.
Councilperson Day.
Yeah.
Councilperson Zelt,
Yes.
Councilperson Matterway.
I think that this, makes the area consistent with, what is currently on the books. There are certainly provisions that would allow for an applicant, to appeal or to request a variance. And that has been done. It's recently been done by the Board of Adjustment, within the last couple of months. And this ordinance speaks to a restrictive area within our community. It does not encompass a sprawl of our city. It's a restrictive area, that is called the, Gateway District. I vote yes, in support of the ordinance.
Okay,
Councilperson Zubaka.
I vote yes for the reasons Councilperson Malcolm just mentioned.
Motion passes with a vote of 4 in favor, 1 opposed.
okay, thank you. Next item is the first new business. This is ordinance, 547. Excuse me. This is an ordinance to amend, the City of Newcastle's Code, Chapter 193, Sanitary Code, Article 2, regarding the composition of the Board of Health. Whereas the Council of the City of Newcastle possesses the authority to adopt, amend, modify, or repeal the City of Newcastle Municipal Code, City Code. And whereas the City Council desires a robust Board of Health to protect the health and welfare of residents of Newcastle. And whereas Section 193-3A of the City Code requires a physician to serve on the Board of Health. And whereas since Section 193-3A of the City Code was established, the healthcare landscape has changed significantly to expand the role of healthcare professionals other than physicians. And whereas physicians are busier than ever and therefore may be unable to serve in this capacity. And whereas the City Council desires to amend the City Code to remove the requirement that a physician serve on the Board of Health. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Newcastle as follows. Section 1, City Code, Chapter 193, Sanitary Code, Article 2, Board of Health, Section 193A is hereby stricken in its entirety and replaced as follows. A Board of Health shall be established in the City of Newcastle consisting of 5 members as determined by the City Council. Members of the Board of Health shall be appointed by the mayor, subject to confirmation by the City Council. Members need not be residents of the City of Newcastle, but at least 2 members shall have education or experience in healthcare or community/public health. Some examples of experience in healthcare or community/public health include, but are not limited to, physicians, nurses, nurse practitioners, especially those with community or public health experience, physician assistants, emergency medical personnel, individuals with a master's or doctoral degree in public health, an MPH or a DPH, and individuals with a background in environmental health. Section 2, if any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phase of this ordinance is for any reason held to be unconstitutional or invalid, such decision shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance. Section 3, in the event any existing ordinances or parts of ordinances are in conflict herewith, the provisions of this ordinance shall control. And Section 4, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon passage. Since this is the first reading, there's no discussion or further comment tonight. We will hold a public hearing next month and discussion and vote at that time. And then finally, the last item is not an agenda, not a resolution or an ordinance, it's a discussion. Last month, when McKay talked to us about the street sweeping, and he mentioned it again tonight, he indicated that there would be a grace period of at least 30 days before the police would start to issue tickets. They would give warnings until then. And he said, or 60 days, and he kind of looked to us for guidance. So tonight, we're going to discuss what that guidance should be. My suggestion is that we make it 60 days because it's a relatively new thing and let people get used to it, but that's what we're all here to talk about. Any comments or discussion on this?
I agree with the 60 days. I think we need to take a step back and look where these signs are located. They should make sense.
Yeah, they put part of it is it's difficult to find locations where they could go because of the sidewalks and various things. But if there are some that are not in placements, not ideal, perhaps we can explore over the course of see where the problems lie and potentially move some of them. And that's another reason for giving the 60-day grace period. Other comments?
Just a few, so I don't understand the whole system, but, so if they go out and street sweep, is there, and, in this grace period, is there then notification to the residents? Is the cars tagged?
My understanding is it would be a warning.
Okay, but the car is tagged.
So the people know, obviously, it doesn't do much good if you don't warn them, so that they know more, do it next time. It is only once a month that each street is swept, so they have to, remember and park on the other. And they've switched it, instead of doing like all of West Fifth Street on a particular day, we're gonna do that. Not everybody parks on the same day, and also one path, one down, one come.
And do we put that out on social media regularly?
Well, we did once, because the sweeping is only from May to September.
Right.
So we put it in the weekly, it's on the website. We've mentioned it at meetings to remind people that it's starting again. So, yeah, certainly we need to do that regularly to get.
The comment bill as well. It comes in the bill as well, right?
Right. Oh, I think it's been in there.
Yeah. And I have the same question as Mr. Day. Can we just confirm that the 5 people in the grace period, I think, so that we can have.
I can confirm that.
When you go to other cities, that's kind of a religious thing, it's X day in the week, right? So I think eventually it's going to become part of the culture of the street, so. So it would be helpful if.
I can check with Chief McCabe. He had to leave early tonight because he has another obligation, but I can certainly check with him.
Within our communications, if you could, identify, the amount of the fine and make sure that's communicated, throughout the various mediums, to residents.
Part of the notification for the cars too.
I thought that's what.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a formal warning like you get for a traffic violation warning, or if it's just gonna be a piece of paper up under your windshield to say, we tried to sweep the street today, but you're asking that where however it's done, that it include, if you don't, we're gonna fine you X dollars.
Starting next day.
Right. So that communication.
Yeah.
Car, will be fined $10.
Do that.
Is the system working if there's cars on the streets, they can do the entire street as well, right? Is that correct?
Well, it depends. I mean, if there's only one car on a whole block, I think they can kind of swerve around it. But if there's one car here and maybe a 2-car length space and then another car, it's tough because that's a big truck and it's not all that maneuverable to weave in and out, which is why it's important that all the cars on one side be cleared for the day of their sweeping.
I only ask because it would be helpful to put that in notification as well, that potentially could lead to, entire street not getting swept because, so that people understand that's just a single, location on the street.
Right.
But this impacts entire, everybody else is moving.
I mean, I think,
I think the place for handicap,
I don't know that.
so do they need to be for, or is there exception place that they're able to stay?
Do not know, but I can ask the chief that.
I think we should.
I think they should be allowed for them to stay, yes.
Definitely.
Well, if you've got several handicapped on the street, that's,
As we do all.
it may be, then I'm thinking it doesn't get swept.
I would say it's optional for them to.
Yeah, I have a neighbor right outside on my street that I don't know if they would walk down, park and then. Oh. But perhaps there's a discussion with neighbors. Have more parking there, and it could be a different,
And they don't know, I mean, all,
yes.
I mean, the street sweepers north police know that this person is so handicapped, they can't walk more than 10 feet, whereas that person might be able to walk. They're not going to know that, but that's the question I can ask.
With respect to, East Fourth Street, if there's a road work done.
Well, yes, while that's going on,
So they're like,
I would think they probably can't even sweep the gas line through there if the street's torn up. I mean, the purpose of the sweeping is twofold. Number one, keep the town looking nice. And number two, to reduce the volume of stuff going into the storm drains, which the storm drains clog, then we get more street flooding. So that's a twofold reason for it, which benefits everyone. So if I understand, the consensus is 60 days, and I will check back with the chief to find out what kind of notice they'll be given during the warning period. Will that specify how much the fine will be once they start issuing tickets? And to tell them that if people don't move their cars, they may not be able to sweep the street at all. And the second question is, what about people in handicap parking spaces? Right?
So just to clarify, and I could be wrong on this, don't we street sweep because it was part of a court order, part for our MS4 permit? I believe that. So I don't know how many exemptions there are to that. I mean, I believe it was a court order because we weren't doing it.
Yeah, it was.
But that might be one of the things about the exemption. You might not be allowed to exempt, but I think that is something that needs to be.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it was a state ruling that led us why we purchased the street sweeper a few years ago and started the whole process. It was because of a ruling. And it was again about keeping things down in the storm drains, because the stuff in the storm drains, some of it eventually winds up in the river and some of it winds up in the other processing plants, which clogs them up and causes problems. So, all right, well, I'll answer to those things and circulated, but it sounds like the consensus is 60 days grace, and I'll let you all know what I find out about these questions.
That was great.
Do we need to take a formal vote, or can we just have, this was just to have a public discussion about it? Okay, that was the last item on the agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So motion to adjourn.
Second?